Good evening, Resilience family. Welcome to another episode of Resilience with Dawn Olivia. That's me, y'all. I'm Dawn Olivia. Guys, it has been the most wonderful, peaceful day today, and God has been speaking. Yes, He has been speaking. Such a time as this. Y'all hear me say that all the time, but I'm telling you, God is an on time God, and my God, He's really been showing up. He's really been showing up, y'all. So, guys, today we are digging more into this financial side, but we also have that backstory because everybody have a story, right? But I don't know, God has me dealing with this financial thing, y'all, basically because I'm trying to get my financial world together. And you guys know that I walk my life out with you guys in the now, currently. Yes, I talk about my past and what I believe I would like to happen to come. But I share what's happening in my world right now with you guys to let you know you're not alone. Let you know that, yeah, I'm human too. And my God, I make mistakes too. So, guys, to help us with this, I have a wonderful guest. She is financial savvy, guys, and she loves God with all her heart. She's a mom, y'all, and Arthur, man, she's actually a reverend child. She told me not to say that, but I have to because honor must come. You know, that I believe is something to be applauded for. And man, I love it. So, y'all, let's welcome Peggy to the stage. How are you doing today?
Good evening. Good evening, Dawn. Good evening, Resilience family. I am blessed today.
Yes, that is awesome. I'm telling you, I don't know, I just love hearing it. I love hearing it. So, tell us who you are, a little bit about you.
Okay. So, I've been around a little while. So my background story, depending on how long I want to spin it, right? But a little bit about me. As you said, I am a mom. I raised my daughter as a single parent. I am a reverend. Was very active in ministry for many years. I'm not officiating in that office right now, but I am also a financial professional. My daughter and I have financial literacy platform that we use, and I'm also a financial advisor. So I have clients that I help with their financial planning. And, my background is in education. So I actually love teaching. I love education. In fact, I still do licensing class. I teach a life insurance course where people can get licensed for that in the state of New York. But my background was an English teacher. So I love to write. I love the theater. I just always liked the learning environment. But as such, I knew that when I was teaching, let's say for schools, there came a time when I kind of had to make the decision between my career and my family. And that was, tough because before I had my daughter, I could pour everything into my career
Yeah.
and, love on the students and everything like that. But after I had my daughter and raising her as a single parent, I had to put her first,
Yeah.
and I felt like the administration was not expecting me to do that. So, we had
Mhm.
to part ways. And that's when I decided that I wanted to become full-time self-employed.
Wow. Now that's a leap of faith right there, man. Because, yeah, totally. So, before we dive in and get to the meat and potatoes of this, tell me your meaning, your definition of resilience.
Mm. So that reminds me, Dawn, how we met, because I was on LinkedIn and I passed by your what do you call it? Your page,
My
right?
page, your profile. Yeah.
Your profile. That's the word I was looking for. I passed by your profile and I saw the words resilience written all big. And to be honest with you, when I was thinking about my business and what I wanted to call it, I came up with the word resilience. God gave me that. So
Mm,
resilience is a really important word to me. I have resilience all over some of my vision boards and, things that I carry, because honestly, God has made us resilient, right? He's made the
yes.
earth resilient. I
Yeah.
truthfully, I'm like, if we leave it alone, God will fix it, right? And it's what we do, right, that causes the corrosion
Yes.
and all of these things. So, when if we can leave the planet alone, God will nurture it and fix it, and it will be fine. When we can, just do what our bodies are meant to do, get enough rest, eat properly, right? We do the right things, God will fix it. And so I just understand that resilience is that thing inside of you that doesn't die.
Yes.
It's like, even
Yes.
though when you feel like you could be like you might feel like you have no energy left, like you have nothing
Right.
in you left. And then all of a sudden that little resilience comes back, right? It's like you can come back from anything,
Wow.
and I have been through some trials.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
resilience is what not only gets you through the trial, but also when you come out of the trial, how you can get rebirthed. That's the
Hmm.
resilience. The resilience is, the courage to go back and keep on moving forward.
Yes, that is good. That is good. So you know what? So now I'm gonna have to go here because you brought it up. You talk about your trials, um, that you've been through some tough things. Um, Share with me one tough moment um, that you've been through, and it just made you stronger and kind of shine a light on to where God was taking you, your purpose.
Mm. So, okay, what a trial. So I'm going to talk about, and I know you kind of mentioned I'm an author, so I actually shared this story in a chapter in a book I collabed,
Mhm.
and it's my chapter is called The Resilient Warrior, and so
Yes.
this part in my life, it was kind of like two trials combined. But I know the first trial really kind of prepared me for the second trial. And what I mean
Mhm.
by that is when I was 40 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2. And that
Mm.
was a very scary thing for me. And I'm God-fearing woman. I belong to a church, and my pastor, she actually was healed of double breast cancer. Like God
Wow.
spoke to her, told her exactly what to do, what regimen, what to eat, everything. And she didn't have to have no surgery, no chemo, anything. So when I got the news, the word that I had, breast cancer, I went to her and I was like, what do I do? And she's a very wise woman. And she said, well, God told me to do that. I'm not going to give you what God gave for me because I don't know if that's for you. Right.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I went and I prayed. Then I was like, so did God tell you what to do for me? Right. And she was like, no, baby, I'm sorry. Keep praying. Right. So I was praying, and I was like, all right, I'm a single parent. My daughter was still
Mhm.
young. And I was like, what am I do? And I went to doctors, I got second opinion, everything. And every doctor said, chemo, radiation, hormonal therapy,
Yeah.
and I prayed about it, and I was listening. I was like, all right, Lord, do I do this or do I not do this? And God didn't tell me not to do it. So, when I talk to people about their trials and,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to health, I say you have to really be led for the Lord, because not every medication, not every way is for everyone. So
Right.
I made the personal decision to go the Western medicine route, even though I really didn't want to. But God didn't
Mhm.
give me another path. He didn't say, Peggy, do this, take this, and you'll be healed other way.
Mhm.
So I knew myself, and I said, if I leave it up to me, I'll mess around and die, because I'm not disciplined enough to eat right and do certain things unless I know God is telling me do it. I'm
Yeah.
not going to make it up.
Right.
So I went and I went that route. And so anyway, I gave you that backstory because that trial, going through surgeries, going through chemo, my body breaking down, like having to
Yeah.
work, having to like interrupt my schedule, and having to swallow pride
That
because
part.
as
Yeah.
a single Black woman, we gotta do everything. We don't wait for nobody. Like we all about
Right.
it. I was involved in all kinds of activities and all of these things, and I had to put all of that on the back shelf and
Yeah.
like be with God and
Yeah.
just relax and just let Him work on me and my body and everything. And it was tough. It was really tough. But I say that because not even 12 months after me going through that and coming out of that trial,
Hmm.
did my daughter get involved in a car accident where she was
Yeah.
very badly injured. And she had to go through surgery and
Wow.
rehabilitation and all of these things. And I really said, Lord, had you not brought me through my trial, I
That's
don't know
good.
how I would have been able to handle her trial, but I was able to be strong for her because God brought me through my trial. So I
Wow.
was there saying, I know, Lord, you got me through my surgery, so I know you're going to get her through this surgeries. I was there,
Yes.
Lord, I'm back on my feet now, so I know you're going to have her back on her feet. So everything that she had to go through, I was stronger to help her go through it because I had to go through it myself first.
Mm.
So I was
Mm.
just like, wow, Lord, because I would
That's
have been
good.
so scared to authorize her to go through those surgeries had I not been through my surgeries. And
Right.
I
Right.
don't know. I don't know what's going on with the surgery, but I
Right.
had to have faith. And so God strengthened my faith through my trial with cancer so that when
Yes.
my daughter was going through her trial, I felt like that made me stronger.
Wow. So this is a good segue. Wow. So I'm loving your journey of resilience. It's because that's what it is, and it's very inspiring. So share how your daughter's recovery and your financial transformation became intertwined in your life story.
That one's kind of deep because now I have to like follow my pride a little bit. Because remember, I said, so my financial journey, my daughter's journey. So when I was going through my journey, I was blessed because even though I did have to take a step back from working, I had a state job. I was working at university, so we had like
Okay.
excellent health care, and I was working with a great department and people that really went out of their way to help me. They donated time to me. They donated meals to me. Like I really had a lot of people helping me out
Hmm.
through that time. But after I was done with my treatment and it was like time to go back to work, I really wasn't ready to go back to work. And I
Hmm.
really wasn't that strong. And then having to go through everything with my daughter financially, I really took a hit. So I started using
Mm.
my savings. I
Yeah.
started, feeling in a position where I really just couldn't carry because I wasn't ready yet to get back out there full time. I had already started my business and I was licensed, but I really didn't have a lot going on there either. I just didn't have the energy or even the focus,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
really get after it. So to be
Hmm.
honest with you, when my daughter was going through everything she had to go through, I just basically, I mean, it was all about her. I focused on her 100%. I didn't focus on work. I didn't focus on anything. So when she was done, I found myself in a financial position where I was like almost at ground zero. Like I would have,
Yeah.
if I needed bank, I would have had to like file. I didn't have to file for bankruptcy, but it was like almost like I needed to file for bankruptcy kind of thing, right?
Right.
So what I wound up doing, because I still felt like I needed support and I didn't want to lean on, I didn't want to be a burden to anyone else. I sold a lot of stuff, what I
Wow.
could sell, and
Wow.
I actually left some stuff with some people, and I packed up as much as I could pack up in my little SUV, and I went and I moved to Virginia, and I stayed with family
Wow.
because I needed to get myself together. So I say all that because financially, I got through the storm, but then I had to rebuild, right?
Right.
And so the
Man.
financial journey of rebuilding was, now I had to kind of like go back and start from the beginning of the tools that I had about, saving money. So investing, getting back to my IRA,
Right.
getting back
Okay.
to emergency savings, getting back to,
Mm.
to reestablish myself. So little
Mhm.
by little, I had to reestablish myself, but it was because of the knowledge that I had from working in the financial industry and from having access and the tools, to the different things that I was doing, that I was able to bring myself out of that,
Wow. Yeah.
and pay off debt, all of these things that I had to do. So it helped me also, again, humbling myself, the whole resilience thing. It was like I had to rebirth my financial life, my spiritual life, my emotional life, like everything all over again. And I
Man.
I was starting like from scratch.
Man. I, I
Less.
understand. I understand it all too well. I understand it all too well in my life journey. Yes, of restarting over, rebuilding. And for me, just learning about finances. I wasn't taught too well about that thing, but it's taken me a long time. But I believe I'm getting there. I'm finally seeing some light. People like Dawn, like, yeah, I know I'm 47 and here I am. But yes, here I am. Again, my favorite
And we
saying,
start,
such a
we
time as
start
this.
from where we stand. I was kind of the same way. And it's hard because you say to yourself, well, I'm supposed to be the expert, but I had to teach myself first, and so
Mm,
now when I sit down with my clients, and I don't want to say I'm adamant, but I know how important it is to put certain things first, certain things that
right.
people might not think is important. Like right now, I think about my daughter, and I think a lot,
Mhm.
like, if anything happened to me, how am I leaving things for her? Is she going to be
That's
able
good.
to, you
That's
know,
good.
take care of herself? And what can I, when we talk about, you want to know about generational wealth, right?
Yes.
So life insurance is one of the ways that you can create generational wealth for your family. But most people don't have enough life insurance. They might have
Mm,
25,000, 50,000, 100,000. That's not generational wealth. That's like,
mm,
okay, you pay some bills and you get back to work.
right.
So you have to know that, you're setting up a plan for your future. And so right
Wow.
now, I know, God forbid something happens to me, my daughter has some assets that we've been saving up over the years. And then she has the life insurance policy that she's a beneficiary of. And I know she's going to be a cash millionaire. God forbid if I ever leave. Well, not if I ever, because we're going to leave one day. But if I happen to leave sooner than planned, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have my plan set up for her, because I want to make sure that not only is she going to be okay, but she gets a head start in life.
That's good.
That she gets a head start in life. And so
Right.
that's the kinds of things that I was thinking about when I was doing this now, when I had to rebirth myself. Because the first time I was like you, I didn't know what I was doing. I was winging it. I had a lot of debt. I had a lot of things,
Right.
money, just
Yeah.
wasting money on different things. And so
Yes.
prioritize. And I had
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, this is the foundation, right? I got to
Yeah.
make sure that the life insurance is in place. I got to make sure that I pay off this debt as soon as possible, as fast as
Mm-hmm.
possible. I got to make sure that no matter what is going on financially, I'm putting a little bit of money. I don't care if it's $25, $50, $100, but I'm
That's
putting
good.
that money in a savings, right, where it's going to grow, you know.
Mm,
And so I had to say no to some things,
yeah.
right? I had to say no to some things, and I had to just say, okay, I have to have my financial house in order first, and
Right.
then build from there. So that
Wow.
was so important for me coming through that trial.
Mm-hmm. So give us a definition of what it means, generational wealth.
So generational wealth, of course, could mean different things to different people, but for me, what it means is that, you know, you're passing something down, you're leaving a legacy. So
Mm,
generational wealth to me means legacy. All right. So that means that it's not just for me or just for my daughter, but that this is wealth now that can get passed down to the next generation. And it doesn't always have to be about money. I mean, for
right.
some people, the generational wealth that's passed down is property. Some people buy a
Yes.
house and
Real
that's what
estate.
they want
Yeah.
to pass down, to their family members. All right. But, house does come with taxes,
Right.
and upkeep.
Yes.
And if you have siblings like my parents, that was the wealth that they left me and my siblings. It was four of us, now it's three, but
Mm.
we couldn't all live, well, we could all live in the house, but that wasn't practical. But so we decided to keep the house in the family, but it is what it is.
Right.
So it could be property, it could be a business. Like right now, my
Mm.
daughter's working on a legacy for our business. Being able to pass
Yes.
that down to the next generation.
That
It could
is
be
amazing.
assets. It could be stock. It could be money. So whatever the
Mm.
generational wealth is that you want to pass to the next
Mm.
generation, it could
That's
be knowledge. you know
that's good.
Sometimes I
That's
wish
good.
that I had paid more attention to my parents, especially my dad when he was baking his Johnny cakes. Like I'm not much of a cook, but
Right.
there's some knowledge. My mom, she used to make this fruit cake that was famous. She used to send it overseas to her family in England and the West Indies. Everybody wanted
Wow.
cake. Unfortunately, that legacy died with her because none of the
Wow.
rest of us picked up making
Oh,
that cake,
wow.
you know?
Wow.
So my mother didn't come to me and say, "Hey, Peggy, this is your legacy now. Make the
Right.
cakes before you
Learn
send
this.
it to the West Indies."
Here's the recipe. Let's write this
But
down.
there's some people that is their generational wealth because who knows, could have had you've been selling it on Amazon right
I'm
now.
telling you, you're right. A small bit. No, you're right. No, this is real. Small business.
So
This is good.
so generational wealth can come in all forms.
Good. Something you pass down to the next generation. That is awesome. Wow. That is really good. So, another good segue. What inspired you and your daughter to create smart money moves for kids? And why is early financial education so critical for families today?
So I really give her all the credit on this one. I mean, we've been working together, her and I, on our business for about 4 years now, since she became an adult and got serious, and building our brand. And first we started to think like, what was the value system? Like, what can we give back and what would be valuable for us and for our community? You know,
Hmm.
and being a Black single woman, that was kind of like my focus. Like, I want to work with Black single women, and because I'm in
Yeah.
business, I want to work with Black women business owners.
Yeah.
But we had to delve a little bit deeper than that, and we had to ask ourselves, besides working with people that are like us, because that's easy, right?
Hmm.
What is the real value that we need to bring
Kind of,
back to
sort of.
the
Look,
community?
look. I'm gonna say kind of, sort of. But okay.
what is the real value that we want to bring back to the community? And then we read this article. It was brought to our attention, but there's this article that says Black wealth is going to be at zero by the year 2035
Yeah. Yeah.
because the wealth gap just keeps widening and widening and widening, and the lack of knowledge and or the lack of discipline. While people are
Hmm.
getting wealthy and becoming millionaires like every day, but yet and still our community is suffering. And so, we said we need to help Black families. We want to
Yeah.
focus on, helping Black families, and my daughter, because she loves children. And
Yes.
sometimes we talk, and I was like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Do you want to be in a daycare? Do you want to be in a school? Like, what do you want to do with children? And so
Right.
she's trying to figure it out. But she woke up one day and she said, Mom, I think I know what I want to do. She was like, we're in a financial business. And she said, I want to be able to give this to the youth so that they can be knowledgeable, by the time they're in high school and college,
Yeah.
that they know these things. Because like you said, I'm meeting with people that are 30, 40, some of them 50 years old, and they just getting started, you know?
Yes.
And what
Yeah.
if we can reach them when they're 10 and 12 and 15, and they can come
Mm,
out the gate not falling in the same pitfalls, not having
right.
to, you know, take loans for college and then be in debt and trying to pay it off, and getting threatened and starting behind the gate with that, or, misusing credit cards, or
Mm-hmm.
just falling for like all these other little traps, thinking that the name brand stuff is going to help. When you buy name brand, not to knock it, quality is quality, but you're making other people's family rich, but what
Right.
are you doing for your own family?
That's
And
good.
don't put that in front of your own
That's
family.
good.
If you can
That's good.
afford name brand, that's great, but don't afford the name brand and then leave your family broke. Make sure you
Right.
feed your family first, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
all of those things, is what we want to do. And I'm
Yes.
so proud of her because, she did her, she's been doing pilots, and she had her first paid give actually this weekend. And the students had a ball. The kids, there was about 5, 6, no, actually 7 young girls, and they had a ball. We had a ball with them, just teaching them about money. And she created her own game, Dawn, and she had them hustling, and I was being the banker, and I couldn't bank fast enough. They was coming at me. And we just had a blast. And so that's the story. I mean, what caused us to do Smart Money Moves for Kids was, number one, her desire for kids, and
Wow.
working with me and seeing, her now not making the mistakes that I made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good. That is good. That is good. That is good. For me, right now that I've taken everything that I've learned and learning and sharing it with my daughters, it's kind of hard. Because unfortunately, the way I've raised them, I've raised them to be good women, mature ladies. Um, but they've always seen mama just um, striving, hustling. We got to get this paid, and I know my girls, and at the time my son, this is what they need, and every once in a while I give them something they wanted, so they just saw that, the for now, nothing of preparing for your future, nothing preparing for retirement, things of this nature. So I'm ecstatic that you guys are doing this because it's needed. It is so needed. And I pray that we could get more of these lessons in schools, Maybe we have to start at the charter schools, to get some of this stuff pushed in, or to after school programs or at group homes, just some things where it's needed. Um, because sometimes it's hard to get on that core level in these public schools, they're not trying to hear that. They want to keep training us the way they training us, be their worker bee,
Right.
that's just how I see it.
Well,
That's how.
there's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of truth in that. It's here and there. As we've been doing
Yes.
our research, we've been finding that there are other people that are doing this. There are some schools that are doing it. There are, but just like you said, the majority of people that we talk to are like, this is so needed. Yes, yes. So even
Hmm.
though there are people out there doing it, it's not enough, because it's not
Exactly.
reaching
It's not
enough.
reaching
And
right.
it's not reaching our community,
Us.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So we got to make
Yes.
sure that we're the loudest voice in their head. That's what it's
Hmm.
about, because
Hmm.
they're on TikTok, and they're getting influenced by all these different things. And so we got to really get in there, and we got to be the loudest voice in their head.
I agree. I agree. So for parents who are feeling overwhelmed, by their own financial struggles, what would be the first steps you recommend to start, um, to rebuild and to start building generational wealth?
So, first step I always say is taking stock, right? So, change only comes from being introspective and knowing that you got to make a change, right?
Yeah,
So, that's the first step is you got to have some sort of analysis, whether it's a self-analysis
that's
or
good.
what I do with my clients. We have something called a financial needs analysis where we kind of take stock of where you are, look at your budget, look at what you're already doing. And if what you're already doing is nothing, then there's not a whole
That
lot of
part.
thinking to do about it, right? Right? So you just got to get started. You just got to have
Wow.
that desire to get it started. So that's the first step. The second step is getting that plan together, right?
Mm,
And be careful where you get your information. Like there's a
that's
lot of
good.
information out there, and
Yeah.
I watch YouTube, not so much TikTok, but I watch a lot of YouTube videos. But I start to figure out who's credible and who's not. Right? There's a lot of
That's
people out
good.
there that are just talking smoke. Right? It's the shiny coin. They want you
Yeah,
to buy their this and sign up for their class and
yeah,
and before you know it,
that's good.
you could go down a rabbit hole, spending up all your money doing what everybody else is
Mm,
telling you to do to benefit them, and it's not benefiting you.
benefit you. That's good.
So
That's good.
you gotta, do, yes, research, but then find yourself a licensed professional,
Mm,
right? That can give you some sound advice. And then you can bring your research to that person. You can say, hey, I did some research. People do that to me
yeah.
all the time. It was like, what do you think about this? I saw this on YouTube or on TikTok or whatever. What do you think about this? And then I'll be
Hmm.
honest, and again, a lot of times I won't have a horse in the race to say, do it or not do it, but I can just let them know why I do what I do and what that has got for me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because there are
Hmm.
some things that have been tried and proven over time, that are 40, 50 years, 70 years in the making. And then there are other things where, okay, so it's been going good for 5 years or it's been around for
Hmm.
10 years. That's great,
Hmm.
but it's not proven itself yet. So you got to take that into consideration. It's great to try new things, maybe with a 10%, 5% of your money,
Right.
try
Right.
something new. But then if you're trying to build generational wealth, put it in something that is tried and true, right?
Yeah.
That has a track record.
Yes. That's good. Oh, that is good. And here's a comment from our audience. From Janasa Sharp. Hey, Gigi. Sorry, I had to say hi to a hey girl. But this is Dr. Janasa Sharp. She's dear to me. She says, budgeting works great. Saving and invest. She said, do not rob Peter to pay Paul when you feel you need that money. Discipline yourself. And I say she should have wrote that in all caps because
Amen, sister. And he's talking to me because I'm telling you, when I was back there in my 20s and my 30s, that was exactly what I was doing. I was
man,
robbing Peter to pay Paul. I wasn't
man,
disciplined. I was making all kind of mistakes, falling into all kind of traps, and that's how I had to turn around. I had to shift my thinking.
that's
I had to
good.
shift my thinking,
Yes,
and discipline is the key. Discipline
yes,
is the key,
yeah,
and it's
my
not
God,
easy,
yeah.
you know. And I make sure because I like to treat myself. So I make
Mm,
sure that when I'm being disciplined, I build in the treating myself in my budget.
that's
But it's
good.
built in. Before it was just, oh, let me go treat myself and forget about everything else.
That
Right?
is
I
good.
know I have my priorities straight. Treating
That is
myself,
good.
self-care is part of it, but it's a small part of it, right?
Right.
Tithe them
Uh,
first, right?
I understand. I understand. Oh my God. So before we wrap this up, just give I don't know, one type of concept of money management that parents or caregivers could give to the children, so they could help them learn about management, of their finances and to help build their confidence too, in that area.
So, kind of piggybacking on budgeting, but I'm going to say this: pay yourself first. Pay yourself first and dollar cost averaging. That's two things, but they're a little bit related. So paying yourself first is making sure that you always set some money aside for yourself. As a giver, sometimes we're very much givers. And I remember early on in my early 20s, and I was involved in church, and it would be nothing for me to just give my whole paycheck to the church and then pray to the Lord, like, okay, so Lord, you're going to send the rent money because I done gave my whole paycheck to the church. Right? But God said, you got to be wise, right? You don't go create an emergency and expect God to, figure it out.
Wisdom. Yes.
God use wisdom, right? So I said that to say you always want to make sure that you're leaving something for yourself, all right? So paying yourself first, and with that, you want to do it consistently. So this is where I'm going to get into the dollar cost averaging. So if you are investing in yourself, whether it's like a mutual fund, an ETF, a stock, whatever it is, but you're buying it on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, right? You're taking advantage of the market in ups and downs. And so over time, you have an average, right? You make out better with consistent investing over time than just trying to say, okay, here's a whole bunch of money and then you don't do it again. It's kind of like, brushing our teeth and all of these things, right? You don't want to just do it once and then not do it anymore, right? You got to do it every day, right? So I'm not saying you got to invest every day, but at least once a month, right?
Right.
And that's something that you can get children behind, because if they get allowance every week or whatever it is, or whatever, if they have the mindset that every month they want to, just like if you're teaching them the tithe, teach them also, okay, so 10% goes to God, but 5% goes to your investment, whatever it is, right? And then as you get older, increase it. So now you work in the job, 20% goes to your investment, right? Got a full-time job, 30% goes to your investment, right? So you can build on that. But if they get accustomed to giving to God, yes, and also saving for themselves, if they get accustomed to making that a habit, then it's not going to be so hard when they get older to say, no, I'm not going to go to the club because I got to make sure I have this money set aside for me for a rainy day.
That's good. That is good. That is so good. Wow. That is really good. So I'm going to be rewinding this back, later, taking my notes, which is what I really do. I do that with every guest. People, that's how I learn, y'all. And I think you all need to do that too, okay? So tell everyone how they could reach you, your services you have, also about Smart Money Moves.
Okay, so how to reach me. So Smart Money Moves is on Instagram, and the handle is at smart.moneymoves with 2 S's. So that's one way you could reach us there on Instagram. That's my daughter really manages that page, and she makes some content on there about simple things you can learn about money. And another way you can reach us is through email. We got teambeneby@gmail.com. Well, Smart Money Moves has an email too, but I don't know that one by heart yet. So I'll give you my email, team, TEAM, Beneby, BENEBY, @gmail.com. So you can always email me there. And I forgot what's the other question you asked me. You said how to get in touch, and the services.
The services.
So Smart Money Moves for kids. The website. Ooh, what is her website? So my daughter's website, I might have to email that to you. So my daughter's website for that, she has a page there where you can leave your information, and basically she does a program. So it could be a one day program, like for an hour or two, or it could be 3 days or 5 days. And she builds into it nice activities for the children to learn about money. And then the 5-day program, the 5-session, I won't call it day, it's not a full day, but the 5-session program is built around entrepreneurship. And she does like a thing where you have to come up with some sort of business or something like that, and you would get money towards, being able to either open up an IRA or start a business. So,
wow.
so
That's amazing. I'm gonna have to get her on here to do the piggyback off of this.
So that's her baby. For me myself, I help people. I'm life insurance licensed, so in a few states, so I can help people with life insurance. I also help people with investments, so mainly mutual fund services for multiple companies, annuities, things like that. So I focus on retirement planning, for individuals. I do a lot of that. And also when I talked about the financial house, like for younger people or young families just starting out, putting that in place. Because a lot of times you have a couple of pieces of the puzzle, but then you got to fill in, you got to fill in the rest of it. You can't just have the two corners. And then you're trying to run your life with the two corners of your puzzle. You got to fill in the rest of the puzzle. And sometimes there's other pieces that can complement, what you're already doing at work. That's going to get you further along,
Right.
So a lot of people depend on their employer, for their services like life insurance and retirement. Hey, but you don't have a plan with your employer. You just have benefits with your employer. Now let's take those benefits and turn it into a plan that's going to get you to your financial goal.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Have your own plan in place. That's good. That's huge, I say. That's also what I keep preaching to my daughters. Don't depend on that job, because that job not gonna always be there, and those benefits will go away. But anyway, you need to have your own in place. That is good. My God. So thank you so much, because this has been so rich. Man, this is needed. This is needed at this time. We need to learn these things so we all could be get there, be debt free. You know what I'm saying? Build that generational wealth, build some stability, so we're not dependent on our jobs and this government. That's just my little piece. I just had to throw that in there. Wow. But because we need you guys. We need you guys.
And that is the focus, right? Before generational wealth comes financial independence.
Exactly.
And financial independence means that you're not dependent on the government or a job or someone else to provide for yourself, but that you have set yourself up where you have that income coming in from some source, whether it's rental property or investments or business, right? But you have income coming in that you don't have to always go out there and work for.
Yes. And family, it ain't easy. I'm telling you, it's hard to make that shift, okay? I'm just speaking from experience. That discipline part is good. But Peggy, I thank you so much. I thank you for your time. As I tell all my guests, I am very grateful, because we do not get our time back. And I appreciate it, because you dropped some gems tonight for us. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you for having me. And I was doing what you said. I was just speaking from the heart. And I hope I wasn't too long-winded, but what was in came on out. So, I just want to bless some people.
Yes. Well, my resilience family, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in now, if you're tuning in later, I appreciate you. Please subscribe, guys. If you hit me on YouTube, please hit that notification bell, of course, guys. And I just appreciate you, seriously, because I am here for you all. My guests are here for you all. And I pray that you take something away from this. So make sure you go back, take your notes, and let's be greater. Let's be greater so we can be all that God called us to be. So my resilience family, I love you. I thank you. Always, as I say, stay safe, stay well, and always, guys, always stay resilient, guys. Stay resilient.